In a world that moves faster than thought, where every second demands more, one question still lingers quietly beneath it all. What does it mean to live well? Is it success, pleasure, peace, or something deeper, something we've forgotten while chasing everything else? For thousands of years, the greatest minds wrestled with this question, and maybe, just maybe, their answers can still save us. 1. The question that never dies. Long before social media feeds and self-help books, philosophers asked the most human of all questions: what makes a good life? The ancient Greeks called it eudaimonia, the flourishing of the soul. Not happiness as fleeting pleasure, but the deep, steady state of living in alignment with one's nature and virtues. Socrates wandered the streets of Athens asking uncomfortable questions. He claimed that the unexamined life was not worth living, not because it lacked joy, but because it lacked meaning. To live well, he said, was to live consciously. Yet even then, the definition was elusive. To the hedonist, the good life was pleasure. To the Stoic, it was virtue. To the cynic, it was freedom from illusion. The debate began 2,400 years ago, and somehow it's still ours. 2. Aristotle's blueprint. For Aristotle, living well meant living purposefully. Every being, he believed, had a natural end, a telos. The acorn's purpose is to become an oak. The human's purpose, to live in harmony with reason and virtue. Happiness, he said, was not pleasure, but activity, the continuous practice of being one's best self. A life of excellence, not excess. Aristotle warned that comfort without purpose leads to decay. We can have wealth, fame, and pleasure, yet still feel lost if our lives lack order and aim. And that ancient insight cuts straight into the modern wound, because today, we've never had more, and yet somehow, we've never felt less whole. 3. The Stoic answer. If Aristotle sought purpose, the Stoics sought peace. For Epictetus, a slave turned philosopher, the good life was freedom, not from chains, but from passion and chaos. He taught that the only things we truly control are our actions and our judgments. Everything else, fortune, fame, even the opinions of others, are distractions. Seneca wrote to his friends that time was our most precious possession, and yet we spend it as if it were infinite. He warned that we chase life's length, not its depth. To live well, he said, is to learn how to die well, meaning to face every moment without fear. And Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire, echoed this in his private meditations. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The Stoics remind us, to live well is not to control life, but to master oneself within it. 4. The Eastern paths. While the West debated virtue and logic, the East offered a different vision of living well, one rooted in balance and awakening. In Buddhism, the good life is the end of suffering, achieved not through possessions or status, but through understanding the mind. The Buddha's Eightfold Path teaches right action, right speech, and right thought, not as commandments, but as the art of awareness. To live well is to see clearly that everything changes, that attachment brings pain, and that compassion brings peace. Meanwhile, Confucius taught that goodness was not isolation, but harmony. To live well meant to live rightly, in family, in society, in service. Virtue, he said, was not only personal, but relational. And in Taoism, the sage Lao Tzu whispered the simplest wisdom of all. To be content with what you have is to be rich. To live well, then, is not to conquer life, but to flow with it. 5. The Christian Revolution. When Christianity emerged, it offered a radical redefinition of the good life. No longer was virtue just reason or peace, it became love. The early Christians believed that to live well was to live in selfless compassion, mirroring divine grace. Saint Augustine wrote that every heart is restless until it rests in God, suggesting that all human striving for happiness was, in truth, a longing for something eternal. And yet, this faith carried its own tension. If virtue is divine, what becomes of reason? If salvation is grace, what of action? The medieval world would wrestle with this paradox for centuries, the struggle between human effort and divine purpose, between earthly living and eternal life. But the heart of the idea remained. To live well was to love well. 6. The modern dilemma. Today, the question, what does it mean to live well, has been replaced by 1,000 smaller ones. What should I buy? Where should I go? Who should I become? We are surrounded by choice, yet starving for direction. The 21st century has given us luxury, connection, and freedom unimaginable to the ancients. But it has also given us anxiety, burnout, and existential fatigue. Modern life confuses comfort with happiness, convenience with meaning. We've built entire industries around escaping ourselves, endless entertainment, consumption, distraction. But as the philosophers warned, you cannot build a good life by running from thought. The question remains the same, only louder for being ignored. 7. Existentialists and the search for meaning. By the 20th century, faith and reason had fractured, and philosophy turned inward. Existentialists like Sartre, Camus, and Kierkegaard asked, what if life has no given meaning? Then what does it mean to live well? For Sartre, freedom was both gift and curse. We are condemned to be free, to choose without instruction, to build our meaning from nothing. To live well is to create, not to obey. For Camus, the world was absurd, a silent universe to which we must still say yes. He wrote that to live well is to imagine Sisyphus happy, pushing his rock forever, but with dignity, with defiance, with awareness. And for Kierkegaard, faith was not certainty, but courage, the leap into the unknown, trusting that meaning can exist beyond reason. The existentialists stripped life bare, and in doing so, gave us the raw freedom to shape it ourselves. 8. The science of happiness. Today, philosophy and science finally meet again, this time in the study of happiness itself. Psychologists and neuroscientists have found what Aristotle already guessed. Happiness is not found in moments, but in meaning. It comes less from pleasure and more from purpose, gratitude, and connection. Modern research echoes ancient truths. Purpose gives direction. Gratitude anchors the mind. Relationships nourish the soul. Yet even with all the data, we still return to the same question. Not, how can I be happy? But, what makes happiness worth having? Because to live well is not to feel good. It is to be good. To act with integrity, compassion, and awareness, even when it costs you comfort. Science has given us the how. Philosophy still holds the why. 9. The inner revolution. Living well begins not with changing the world, but with understanding the self. Every tradition, from Stoicism to Buddhism to modern mindfulness, teaches that we cannot control life, only our response to it. We suffer not from events, but from our resistance to them. To live well, then, is to cultivate presence, to see clearly, to choose consciously, to live deliberately. It's not a grand theory. It's the small decisions repeated daily, to pause before reacting, to forgive when anger rises, to give more than we take. It's not about perfection, but alignment, the quiet harmony between what we know is right and what we actually do. 10. The art of living. Perhaps the greatest philosophers of living were not in academies, but among artists, gardeners, parents, and poets. Because to live well is an art, not a formula. It's found in beauty, balance, and attention, in the act of being alive to the world. As the poet Mary Oliver asked, "Tell me, What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? The good life, then, is not a destination. It's a rhythm. A dialogue between effort and ease, purpose and rest, thought and wonder. It is built in moments of courage, kindness, and clarity, the quiet victories no one sees. 11. The final question. So, what does it mean to live well? Perhaps there is no single answer, only the willingness to keep asking. To live well may be to strive, to love, to fall, to forgive, and to begin again. It may be to learn from suffering, to seek wisdom, to nurture others, to face death without regret. Socrates would tell us to question, the Stoics to endure, the Buddha to awaken, Jesus to love, Camus to persist, and each, in their own way, would be right. Because living well is not about escaping the world, it's about being fully, consciously alive within it. Subscribe Timeless Questions channel for more thought-provoking stories about philosophy, history, and the unseen forces shaping our world.